Hello, my friend. Welcome to your Reiki session. This session is all about mastering confidence. So if you are somebody who really struggles with that sense of self-assurance, self-reliance, trusting in yourself, if you really struggle with your projection, the way you're perceived in the world, and you start to feel, and struggle with insecurity, then this session is for you. This is going to be all about mastering self-confidence, energetically aligning you to the frequency of confidence, healing in the solar plexus, but it's going to be very gentle. We're not going to be, pulverizing you into this mold of confidence. This is how you have to act or be or any of that. Instead, we're really going back to the basics of confidence. Confidence at its core is really about this self-assurance that arises from your own appreciation of your abilities and your qualities. So if you are somebody who feels like, well, I'll be confident when, I'll be confident if, or I can be confident in these situations, but not so much in these situations. It's all completely natural. It makes sense. However, that's not actually what confidence is. Confidence is about getting to know yourself so well that you know what your qualities are, you know what your gifts are, you know what you're capable of, and all you have to do to be confident is to just appreciate those things within yourself. So you could be confident without any, outside interactions. Confidence exists only as a way of appreciating our values, of appreciating our sense of worth. So what we really need to do then is to start to look at who we are. I'm coming through with the selenite wand just to cleanse your entire energy body. Starting at the crown and moving down like a little energetic vacuum, just hoovering off any kind of gunk from the day. And maybe even any sort of like preconceived notions that we might have about confidence. So we think about confidence as being a very yang energy, very external, very outward facing. But one thing I'd like to encourage in this session is perhaps we've been looking at it wrong. And what if we started to look at confidence as an inside job, as the whole process being an internal one? Maybe tapping into some yin energy when it comes to confidence. That sense of appreciation, that sense of recognition, the giving of that appreciation, the giving of that recognition to yourself, that comes from a very yin-based energy. That energy of, I see who I am, I know who I am, and I appreciate who I am. Now, within confidence, we have qualities and we have abilities, right? So we can always work on our qualities and work on our abilities. We can always, be practicing self-development. But if you are somebody who is practicing self-development, let's say you really struggle with time management. Let's say you really struggle with even feeling like you understand what time is. Like, how did 20 minutes just pass? Let's say you're struggling with time management. And so it means that you're somebody who's working on developing that skill. It's kind of going in and out of clouds today. But maybe that's kind of perfect, going in and out of clouds, because what that's really about is that no matter what's happening in the external, you have this steadfastness because you get to control the appreciation that you shed on yourself, the light of appreciation that you shed on yourself. But let's say you're someone who struggles with time management and you're in the process of, trying to heal that side of you. Maybe you're doing some inner child healing. Maybe you're just somebody who's healing that side of yourself. That's okay. Maybe the thing that you can really, feel confident in right now, the appreciation you can have for yourself, is your ability to change, to evolve, your ability to grow. Maybe the quality that you can really have confidence in, really appreciate and allow that confidence to shine about you is your ability to recognize the parts of you that need a little bit of work, that need some healing. So it doesn't mean that you're saying, I'm somebody who struggles with time management and the world has to deal with that and I don't care about my impact. No, that's not what we're talking about at all. Instead, what it's really about is doing our best to heal and resolve the blockages that exist within us so that we can step into the fullest expression of our true authentic selves. And by that, I just mean what your qualities are, what your capabilities are, how you're showing up in the present moment. And so acknowledging the impact that you have on others is hugely important for that. Hugely important for that. It's just about reframing any shame that you have about maybe some of the qualities, aspects, or your abilities that you want to work on that need a little bit of help. Confidence is really just about loving yourself through the whole process. Loving yourself at the beginning of the journey before you learn the lessons. Loving yourself as you're walking through the journey. Loving yourself as you bump up against challenges that test you, test your resilience and your resolve, that test your ability to keep going. And then love yourself as you near the end of the journey and you look back at how far you've come, loving yourself in every step of the process. There's nothing about confidence that is about being perfect. I think very often we conflate these two ideas. Confidence is about, I know myself, I know who I am. Yes, this is something I struggle with, but I have roots that go down beneath me, that hold me steadfast and steady, and I can withstand the storms of maybe other people's judgments, maybe my own mistakes. I don't allow my mistakes to define me. Instead, I choose to appreciate the wonderful things about me, my qualities, my gifts, my abilities, and with the things that I struggle with, these unhealed parts of myself, I reject shame. And I also acknowledge that these are areas that might need some tending to. We're not shying away from them or pretending like they don't exist, but rather integrating them into the fullness of your being. I'm going to put this selenite wand right underneath your feet. I know you like when I do this in sessions, just so that anytime something comes up, if something's like bubbling to the surface, you can just kind of cast it down. Cast it down to your feet. And so it'll start to drain that energy down, out, and through. Down, out, and through. That's a thought or a belief that you're recognizing that's coming in. You can just cast that down. Okay. How you feeling? Okay, good. I know it can feel and sound a little bit, it sounds so simple, right? When we're talking about it like this. But in reality, sometimes the simple things are the most challenging to put into practice. So it's okay. It's okay if you struggle with confidence. You're definitely not alone. Most of us struggle with confidence. Most of us have this unhealed part of ourselves that where we feel like we're not enough. We feel like that our self-acceptance is conditional. I will accept myself when I'll accept myself when I get this job, when I have this relationship, when I, get healthy, when I, whatever it is, when I achieve this or that goal, I'll accept myself when. But that's the opposite of confidence. Have you ever met these people and when you're around them, they just have this aura of okayness? They're just okay. They're okay with who they are. They're okay if you judge them. They're okay if you misunderstand them. They're okay. They're okay. They're willing to acknowledge their faults and flaws and to say, yeah, I kind of struggle with this, or this is something I'm working on. But you can tell that there is this deep appreciation of who they are. They really appreciate who they are. And that's the core. That's the core of confidence. It's tailor-made, specific to you. Confidence doesn't need to mean anything about you. There's no credentials for confidence. It's not like, you have to be a certain way or have a certain way that you move or walk or talk. It's funny when people try to kind of put on an air of confidence, it tends to, it can make people maybe describe you as confident. That can happen. It smells so good. Oh my gosh. This is a little bit of sandalwood. And I think there was some eucalyptus left over, so it's really nice. So we'll just spritz your aura with this. I think people can, assume that you're confident. Maybe you'll project an air of confidence, but you're kind of bypassing the practice and the practices that would lead to actually being able to appreciate yourself, which is all about self-discovery, knowing who you are, knowing what your gifts, abilities, strengths are. Now, we've talked before on this channel. I'm just spraying your aura with this beautiful mist that's been charged in the full moon. We've talked about confidence before on this channel, and we've talked about, building that self-reliance, building that self-trust, being able to really rely on yourself. And in order to do that, we, have talked about taking that very yang-based action, really, going forward, casting ourselves forward, being in that very solar plexus action-based energy. And what I think that can do, yes, it can help build confidence, but almost as a byproduct, because what that can do is to add to your kind of inner resume of abilities, but it's not confidence unless you appreciate that about yourself. That's the key. That's the lock. that connects these two aspects. So you could be somebody who works on yourself ad infinitum. You could be someone who's constantly trying to improve. But if you feel like your cup is always empty, you don't know how to fill your own cup. You don't know how to, and by that I mean your own internal sense of self-worth. If you don't feel like you have that full, loving, delicious energy within you, then what you're doing is building up your abilities to prevent you from actually ever having to look at yourself. It's almost like using perfectionism as a wall to close you off from ever doing the work that would mean that you really accept your whole being. So I think both are really necessary and both are really important. It's super important to work on yourself, to build that self-reliance, where you can really rely on yourself and trust yourself, and doing small things that can help you to really step into a more empowered version of yourself. I think that's incredibly helpful. But we usually talk about confidence in terms of that really active young energy. And I just want to present another option, another way of thinking about it. And I think we really need both of these to step into and master our confidence. We're going to use these lavender smudge sticks to refresh and cleanse. So an aspect here is that we want to have this, there's a sense of calm that kind of radiates from you when you are appreciating yourself. So I just want you to start to think, and maybe you'll write it down in the comments, but I want you to start to think about 3 things that you really appreciate about yourself. Start off with 3 abilities that you have. 3 abilities that you have that you really appreciate about yourself. And it could be anything. It could be you appreciate your ability to follow through with things, or you appreciate your ability to wake up early and start your day from a really great place. It could be anything. It can even, like I appreciate my ability to edit. I'm a pretty strong editor. I appreciate my ability to edit. But whatever the ability is, just write down those 3 things. It can be anything. It can seem small at first. You can start with things that maybe aren't very deep, like I said, editing or something like that, like a skill, Or you can go a little bit deeper with it. It's really up to you. So 3 of your abilities that you have, just the ones that you can recognize. What are 3 abilities that you have? And then the next step here is to appreciate them. To appreciate these. Let's stick with the editing, just because it's an easy one for me. So let's say the appreciation looks like, gratitude, appreciation. I really appreciate that I'm able to do that. I really appreciate that I have learned that I have the ability to create these sessions. Not only that, but that I have the ability to put them together in a way that I can share with you, that I can put them together with my cousin's beautiful music, and that I can share these with you in a really wonderful way, in a way that that resonates with what I want to put out there. So something like that, something simple like that. But there was, most of my life I didn't know how to edit, wasn't good with computers, was very bad with technology and computers. And then I learned taught myself how to do it. I had people who would give me hints here and there and tips here and there, but learning how to do it, it was a lot of time, and I really appreciate myself. I really appreciate that I did that. I really appreciate that I have that ability. There are a lot of people that I speak to who would like to do things, but they don't have that ability. And it's not because I have any talent, it's because I just, put in time to do that. And so I really appreciate that about myself. I really appreciate my ability to do that, because I know that it is a skill that I think other people would want. So I appreciate that about myself. So you can start with something that feels, a little superficial or whatever, but that's okay. It's not really superficial. It connects you to your passion. It can, connect you to what you want to do, your vocation. Skills are so wonderful. I mean, you could say that you are proud of yourself for your ability to, do accounting, to keep on top of your money and finances, your ability to invest. You could talk about this in any way that you want, or you could talk about your abilities being a little bit deeper, your abilities being a little bit deeper. But yeah, I wanted to use the lavender because I really want to connect with this sense of calm confidence. Easy, there's an ease about someone who's confident. They make you feel comfortable to be around, because very often they're not going to assume that you're judging them. There's not going to be this barrier of assumptions between the two of you, because they know who they are, they know how they're showing up in the world, and they're stepping into it from an empowered place. They appreciate themselves. And really, to them, to someone who's confident, it doesn't really matter if you don't appreciate them. That's okay. That's okay. They're here to appreciate themselves. They know that practice, and that's why they're here. So 3 things that you get, 3 abilities that you have, and then 3 abilities that you appreciate, right? So that kind of weeds out anything that you really struggle accepting about yourself. If you're like, well, I guess I'm not that good at it. You have to really be able to appreciate it. And if you don't naturally appreciate that thing, let's say, I felt like, well, it took me so long to edit, to learn how to edit, so I feel like I can't really appreciate that. Or, it's not really, it's not really a talent, it's not really a gift. I had to work hard to do it, so I don't appreciate that. You can start out by choosing something that's more accessible for you to appreciate, and also simultaneously work to find gratitude and appreciation for all of the gifts and abilities that you have. But I really do appreciate that ability that I have. I really appreciate that. And so it's, it's kind of a dance. Learning who you are, learning more about yourself, tapping into that sense of appreciation so that you can start to really say, oh yeah, I'm good at that. Oh yeah, actually that's something I'm really good at. Acknowledging your strengths. So many of us struggle with that. Acknowledging our strengths that can come from childhood. Maybe we had harsh or critical parents, or maybe we were a bit neglected, maybe both. Or, maybe there's just other reasons. Maybe you had a critical teacher or something like that, or you felt like you didn't quite pick up on things as quickly as others in school, and so you automatically assume that you were behind. I think that's such a dangerous thing. We all like grow at different rates. We all have different skills, and that's the beauty of being human. You and I are very different, which is wonderful, because then we can learn from each other. And it's when we are juxtaposed, when we are standing beside each other, then you can shine your light on me and I can shine my light on you without overlapping. We're still 2 entities. But anyway, that's another conversation. Clearing and cleansing. You deserve to appreciate the ways in which you are wonderful. You deserve to appreciate that. You know, when I talk about you deserve to belong, you deserve to be appreciated by yourself. You deserve to appreciate yourself. If we are constantly, and I know it's hard, but if we are constantly looking to the outside to be validated, we are going to be at the whim of other people and their moods and their energies and what they're going through. And that very often has nothing to do with us. Also, you know, compliments and appreciation from others, it's nice. It feels nice. It's nice to be appreciated. But it's the internal appreciation of self that is so empowering, you know? The validation of others, especially if we use that as a measuring stick, is so inconsistent. It's not reliable. It's not something that can build confidence because it's changeable. It's changeable. It can be erratic. Some people don't have the bandwidth to shower you with appreciation. And if you're totally dependent on others for that sense of appreciation, that cup is going to run dry. It really will. So let's start to use this to kind of cleanse some of this energy. So if there's any part of you that's feeling like you don't quite know what your abilities and gifts are, did it just start raining? I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell if it's just windy or if it's raining. I have the curtains, the sheer curtains down so it doesn't get direct sun. Anyway, so we're just kind of pulling anything that's blocking here. Pulling anything that's blocking. It sounds like rain, but it might be wind. Pulling anything that's blocking you here. Pulling anything that's blocking you from being able to access that inner wisdom. Like, what is it what are the areas in which you shine? What are the areas in which you show up as this whole, full, integrated being? Like, how are you the qualities that make you up, the qualities. These aren't, all of these aspects can be developed. Qualities can be developed, skills can be developed, abilities can be developed, and a sense of appreciation and gratitude. These things can be developed. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be confident, you can be. It's available to you. You just have to choose to do this practice in maybe a gentler way than you were previously doing it. You can push through and have that very yang-based energy when it comes to, going out there and trying new things, putting yourself in situations where you're tested so that you can really understand your skills. Maybe have all these experiences, go out there and really try and have all these experiences in order to better understand yourself, in order to then appreciate who you are. So you can definitely, it is a marriage of both, But if you're doing all of these things, taking constant action without taking the time to do that inner, it's very lunar work, very yin work, where you are saying, these are the things that I'm good at. These are the things that I excel at. These are the qualities that I admire about myself. And let me bask in that admiration. Let me really take a moment to say, yeah, I'm pretty cool. I'm good. Actually, these things that I do, that's pretty cool. Actually, these skills that I have, there are so many people watching this right now. There are so many people receiving this session right now that are so jealous that you have that ability. There are so many people who would love to have that ability, who would give up so much in order to have that ability that you are kind of taking for granted. So think about that. Maybe that can be an access point. If you are very others focused, that can be a great quality, right? You can kind of reframe your mind about things too. If you're very others focused, and maybe you're leaning really far in that direction where you really measure yourself by everybody else's validation of you and judgment of you, you can kind of reframe it to where you say, I am very others focused. And then you can start to say, maybe I don't need to measure myself against, others, comparison, or, the validation of others, but maybe I can take that gift of my others focused energy and I can start to use that to learn more about myself, to say, oh, actually, these people really value that in me. That might, this is something that I can start to appreciate, or, I think actually other people don't have this. Like using it as a tool, a resource to say, to learn more about yourself, I suppose. That can definitely be part of this practice, but it's such an ongoing practice, and I think it's such a worthy one to engage in. I really think it's such a valuable practice to engage in. I'm going to put this tiger's eye right on your solar plexus, because even though we have this very calm, soothing energy for this session, you can watch this, you can receive this during the day. If you're having sort of a slump, midday slump, and you want to kind of be picked up, you can have this, because this is also very empowering. This is a very empowering session as well. So it's empowering, but it's also calming and soothing. It's sort of like if you have a sore muscle, I jammed my hand yesterday. Anyway, and I was putting ice on it and it felt so good. I had a little kind of ice pack that my husband made for me, and I put it on my hand and it felt so good. You could just really tell how inflamed it was, because it was just like, So that soothing, cool, soothing energy should be part of this session as well. It's cool, it's soothing, you feel like this is right, but it's a balance. It is very activating. I want you to actually put this into practice and start to really appreciate these things about yourself. And drawing the sacred symbols, and you are starting to vibrate on the frequency of confidence and appreciation of yourself, self-appreciation, self-validation. I really like this about myself. Good. Beautiful. All right, let's light our candle and set our intention here. This is a Palo Santo natural coconut wax apothecary candle. Sometimes it gets really crackly, so we'll see. Crackly wood-wicked candle. So on behalf of your highest, wisest, most empowered, most aligned self, in loving comfort and in perfect balance, I wish to conduct this Reiki session for building your confidence, mastering confidence, so that you can walk through the world feeling safe and protected, knowing that that confidence comes from within. So if you wanted to clarify or specify this intention based on what you're moving through, feel free to do so now. And I'm just going to start to attune you to this frequency. Confidence, protection, inner belief, self-assurance. The self-assurance that arises out of appreciation for your own unique abilities and gifts and qualities, things that it's not based on someone else's idea, it's based on yourself and what you appreciate. So take your time, you need to pause it, and you can set your intention. The flame is here by your side, you can set your intention here. And I'm just going to start to work here in the solar plexus. We're still focusing on the solar plexus just above the navel. But I want to invite in a little bit of root chakra healing. So doing a little bit of kind of squeezing and releasing here. In the, the legs, we just want to kind of ground you, help ground this energy. Again, you can cast any thoughts or blockages that come up down to your feet to be released. But now I'm just sending this energy into your solar plexus, helping you to really understand, helping you to really resonate with the importance of appreciation, of your own appreciation of self. My brother is always described as being really, really confident. He's very, and one thing about people always just say, he's so confident, he's so, comfortable with himself, he's so confident. And the wonderful thing is that he's very humble. He's very willing and almost like eager to say when he's made a mistake or when he doesn't understand something. Like if you use a word or say something he doesn't understand, he'll always be like, oh, what does that mean? And he does it in a very easy way. He's a very easy person to be with. He's very, there's an ease about him. And I think that energy of knowing yourself so well that you are really comfortable being genuinely humble. You don't think you're above anybody, but you likewise don't think you're beneath anybody. You are just solidly who you are. And just as you are curious about others and the way the world works, you just trust and believe that you hold inherent value, that others would be curious about who you are and your qualities and gifts, just like you're curious about theirs. That there's the assumptions that you're making in your life are very in favor of self, but also honoring others. It's like it's a really beautiful thing, I think, that can happen when we start to just accept ourselves exactly as we are and appreciate those wonderful things about us. Okay, energy is feeling pretty good actually. So you can place your hands on your solar plexus just to really solidify this energy. But it seems like you're receiving this really well. We'll blow some of that energy away. And now we're just going to shake up your energy, shake up your aura, create this really thick, buoyant aura so that you feel really protected as you move through the world today. That you feel just like, you know, you have this really buoyant, energetic field around you that protects you, keeps you safe, but is also fluid and malleable so that you are able to deeply connect with others and feel what you're feeling and really engage in this practice of self-development without any shame. Okay, my dear. Starting at the crown and moving down. You are divine, you are connected, you are expressive, you are loved, you are strong and confident, you appreciate yourself and your gifts. You are emotionally balanced, creative, connected to your senses. You are safe and protected and grounded. Okay, my dear. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or your night. Take really good care of yourself, okay? Take really good care of each other. And until we meet again, be so well, okay? Namaste. Hello, my lovely, lovely patrons. This session is going to be all about just like sending love into the hands. Our palms are these like entry and access points for so many different energies to flow in. So doing Reiki hand massages I find really helpful. So soothing. So I'm just going to be sending this energy towards you. I love using things from nature to send healing energy. You know I love using things like driftwood, stones, all the earthly elements. I love using water as a healing element. Good. So sending that love towards you and see if you can just maybe breathe it in. Fill yourself up with that gorgeous, loving energy. Imagine the aroma just swirling in and flowing all through your body. Which can be directed and channeled with laser-like precision to help you accomplish tasks and achieve objectives. Cool. This is going to be a really powerful time for you. 2 super empowering cards. You have this fiery energy and you have like the earth and the roots and the ancestors. It's like star and earth and fire. Find as comfortable a position as you can. Maybe close your eyes. You could lie down, whatever feels right for you. And let's begin today with gratitude. Whatever position you find yourself in, bring to heart